Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking to you guys about what it's like living in Tanzania. Tanzania is a country in East Africa, and I have my beautiful friend here with me, Ene, who lived there for a period of time, and she's going to talk to us about what her experience was like. But before we go into the video, I have to do it. I can't stop myself, you know. So if you're not subscribed, please can you tell them to subscribe?
Wale puts out good content, so you want to check her out on YouTube. She's Wale Chronicles, the same name on Instagram.
Thank you very much. Stamp of approval. So guys, Ene also has a blog where she's an amazing writer, a gift that I do not have myself.
Thank
I like
you.
talking instead. Can you tell us the name of your blog, and also if you want to follow her on Instagram, she's going to tell us her Instagram handle.
Yeah. So my blog is beltami.blogspot.com, and on Instagram I'm at bell.tammy.
Oh, can you tell us like how long you lived in Tanzania, how you ended up there, and a bit of background information for context?
Sure. For work, that was how I ended up in Tanzania, because I work in different countries. I take postings. So I was in Tanzania for 14 months. And yeah, but I lived in a remote part of Tanzania, which is called Kibondo. It's somewhere in the west of Tanzania, because I was working with refugees, and that's the town where they are.
Okay. But did you spend any time in the capital, for instance, which is where most people might end up?
Yeah, I did. Well, in Tanzania, you would go to so many places. There's the capital, which is Dar es Salaam. There's Bagamoyo, of course. Not many people go there. But there's Arusha, there's Kilimanjaro, there's Zanzibar, of course, but yeah.
That I know.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in the capital because I was also working there.
Okay.
I covered the whole country, so.
Some big girl stuffs on this channel,
Okay.
whatever. First of all, we want to ask you, what are the people like in terms of how easy was it for you to make friends with locals?
People in Tanzania, I'm going to have to do a bit of a comparison between Tanzania and Nigeria. People in Tanzania are not as open as we are. They're more reserved, and if you don't go to them, they would hardly come to you. So in general, it was a bit difficult to make local friends. I happened to be in the international community a lot, and that's where my support group, all the friends I made in Tanzania were from. And it didn't help that I was living in a village. So yeah, in a village.
I have no idea what that was, but like, okay, Vita, let's continue.
In a village also, in the village where I lived, so many people couldn't speak English. So they would speak Swahili, which is the national language. I learned a bit of the language, but not enough to have a full conversation.
How many languages do you speak, by the way?
I would say I speak 4.
Whoa,
well, no.
wow.
2 are local languages in Nigeria.
It's still a language, like.
So English, of course, which is first, then French, then my native language, Idoma, and a bit of Hausa.
But like, do they have one official language in Tanzania, or they have like a sub language as well?
No. One official national language actually. And it's Kiswahili.
Okay.
Then English is the second official language. So even in schools, people were taught in Kiswahili.
Like, is there a difference between how it is making friends in the remote area? Well, not making friends / getting in touch with locals in the remote areas versus in the capital city where you lived?
There certainly is, because in the capital, in Dar es Salaam, I would go out to a restaurant or to a beach or something, and I could talk to people. And you know how it is with capitals, people are more open.
True.
And then they know there's an international community, so sometimes you find them mixing with the. So it was easier in the capital, but unfortunately I didn't spend enough time there. While in Kibondo, there wasn't really any place to go to. It's really what we would consider a village in Nigeria, and I always had this argument with my colleagues there because they called Kibondo a city, and I'm like, no, back in Nigeria this is a village. And there was one hotel where you would meet people sometimes, but not so much.
We're gonna be doing a bit of comparison between Dar es Salaam and the village where you lived, because I'm sure people that watch this video maybe would most likely end up in Dar es Salaam.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Yeah.
So now you touched a bit on the next area I want to focus on, which is leisure activity, right? But if you could give us like what are the leisure activities available in Dar es Salaam, and then maybe the village, but Dar es Salaam first, that's what we are interested in.
No, I wouldn't say Dar es Salaam. Actually, I would say in the country. Like Tanzania is a beautiful country for people who, one of the things I always say about East Africa is really structured in terms of tourism.
Yeah.
They have things in place, they have tourist packages, they have tourist attractions. But then when you come to West Africa, it's more about the culture, the people, the vibe. So Tanzania is one of the countries that is leading with tourism.
Absolutely.
So when you talk about Zanzibar, for instance, there are many other islands like Pemba. If you talk about a place like Bagamoyo, which when I visited, it was a day trip. So I drove from Dar es Salaam to Bagamoyo. And it's just, I felt like I was walking in some ancient, you know. It was really lovely to see. So all the history about slave trade with Oman, all the things about, you know, the ancient ruins in the place, and even there's just so much history and story and culture in parts like Mtwara or Bagamoyo. So around Tanzania there's so much to do. Then if you talk about safaris, I went to Ngorongoro. It was amazing.
Wow.
So the Ngorongoro conservation area, it's a crater, it's a volcano that collapsed in itself.
Ooh.
So there's a crater there, and then there are all these animals, and we saw 4 out of the big 5, which was great.
God.
Yeah, and it's just beside the Serengeti.
Oh, nice, lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. But how would you say, what's the ease of travel within Tanzania and around East Africa in general, as a woman?
As a woman, okay, the first thing I have to say is, unfortunately, Tanzania is there's a lot of patriarchy there. And for me, being a black woman, normally it should be fine. But the fact that I don't speak Swahili was a bit of a setback, because people see me, I'm black skinned, and it's like, you should be able to speak Swahili. That was the general attitude. Unlike in Nigeria, where people are more accommodating, and they'll be like, okay, even if you can't speak English, or they can't speak English, they would try some way to communicate in some form of broken English or something. But traveling, that was one thing if I were to travel alone in the country, because even in work circles, this always came back, where people would say you should be able to speak Swahili like it's a given.
Is it?
So for travel, ease of transport was not, I was fortunate to have transport made available to me from work. There are flights around the country, that part is easy. Or you can book a tourist group guide, a tourist group or something, and they pick you from the beginning to the end. But then depends on your budget, what you're willing to spend for that.
I was about to say, like, how affordable are those? But then I think you find everything for
your budget, yeah. Your budget will determine what you do.
Okay, but I have a question I wanted to ask while you were speaking, and the assumption or the expectation that you should be able to speak Kiswahili, was it based on the fact that since they saw you as a black woman, they expected you to be from Tanzania? And is it like rare to have foreign black women working there?
I don't think it's rare to have foreign black women there. But, okay, one of the days when I walked into an office, I was speaking about, you know, the program I was overseeing, and this man looks at me and he's like, you're speaking too much English. You should speak Swahili. Kiswahili is the African language. And I'm like,
excuse me?
Exactly. I'm like, I'm sorry, no, it's the African language only in East Africa. There are other languages elsewhere.
Exactly.
And then he went on and on and on. At a point he noticed he had lost me, so he just stopped and signed the document I needed. So it's kind of from that lens where they feel like Kiswahili is an African language. I don't know where they get that assumption from.
But like, okay, I'm actually quite ignorant for this East African part, so I'm going to admit to that. But like, how many countries in East Africa actually speak Kiswahili?
There is Tanzania, Kenya, Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo. They speak a bit of it in Rwanda and Burundi. There are people who understand the language. Which other country? That's about it, I think.
Okay, that's quite many countries.
No, there might be other
language.
countries, but these are the ones I remember over the top of my head.
So, moving on to one of my favorite topics, which is food.
Oh, yes.
What's the food like generally? How would you say? And was it difficult or easy for you to... Okay, let's start from grocery shopping.
I'm laughing because it's just like... For that question, I don't have so much. I'm going to disappoint you. I don't have so much to say.
No.
Like, food was... I tried a lot. I try everything. But first of all, food in East Africa is very bland. I have to say that. Sorry guys.
I can see some people coming in the comment section to murder you.
I know. That's what I thought.
Whoa.
Now, think about meat. When we cook meat or we grill meat, we spice it, we marinate it, and it just, the flavors blend in and they're so amazing.
Yes.
And then you go to East Africa and they just pour oil and a bit of salt, a pinch of salt or something like that, and then grill it like that.
That's all.
And even fish, that's how they grill it.
Oh.
So I was a bit underwhelmed in terms of food, and the thing they love is ugali, which we call swallow here. But they don't have many sauces like we do. They would eat it dry with meat or with fish, and they're fine.
No sauce.
They could eat it with or without sauce.
How?
So yeah, so that was, I found that odd at first, but then I got used to seeing people do it. But for me, it just couldn't work. Then the ugali, I remember the first time I had ugali, I was so excited. Okay, like swallow, let me try these people's own and see what it's like. And I swallowed and I felt like it caught my throat because it was so hard.
Yeah, like the sauce is supposed to help you, moisturize
no, I had it
and
with
lubricate.
with some sauce, but it was so hard that I feel like it cut my throat. My sister always reminds me of that because, I messaged them to like, this is what just happened. And then,
the Tanzanians are gonna murder us.
You know how we eat plantain and all of that? They eat unripe plantain. I think they call it matoke, if I remember correctly. And they make it in form of kind of like a porridge. Like the way we make our yam porridge, they would make it like that. It's a peculiar taste that takes getting used to, and it wasn't just in Tanzania. It was the same thing in Rwanda and Burundi, because I went to these other countries as well.
What kinds of restaurants are available, for example, in Dar es Salaam?
In Zanzibar. Yeah.
I mean, Zanzibar, like they have, I'm sure, like continental, intercontinental, whatever that kind of cuisine is called. But like, okay, let's start with Dar es Salaam. Your village, was there any restaurant there?
Like small shacks.
I went to crickets. Okay.
There were like small shacks in the village where they cooked with a lot of salt, so I preferred to make my food. And then we had a cook, so we had to teach her how to cook.
Living best life.
Oh please. We had to teach her to cook to our taste, and then we taught her different things. She even went for a cooking class so she could cook more continental and international dishes and not just, local food. Grocery shopping in the capital, there are supermarkets, there are malls, just like any capital. So in Dar es Salaam it was fine. I would usually, like the one Tanzanian friend I have, he's in Dar es Salaam, so from time to time I would send him a list, and we always had people coming to Kibondo, different organizations or from our organization, so I'd ask him to send these certain things which I wouldn't find in the town I was living. Every time I was in Dar es Salaam I always did a lot of grocery shopping. In Zanzibar, it's the same thing. There's everything. You would try local food, you would try intercontinental dishes.
So the next topic we're going to talk about is public transportation system. First of all, in the other parts than your village. Like, what's the public transportation system like? How well developed is it?
It's not outside of Dar es Salaam. I wouldn't say it's well developed. In Dar es Salaam, I noticed there were minibuses, just kind of like here. Minibuses, then of course a ton of motorbikes. And that's not just in Dar es Salaam. Even in my village in Kibondo, motorbikes was the major form of transport, was the only form of transport actually. There were no minibuses there. In Bagamoyo, in Mtwara, other places outside of Dar es Salaam, I noticed there were minibuses as well. So I think it's the typical, there's some things that are peculiar to African cities. This is one of them, where you have minibuses that move from place to place. I hardly saw any coasters, but there could be.
What's the safety situation like, the security situation? As a woman living there or that lived there alone-ish, what's the security and safety situation like?
One of the things with work, we have strict security rules. So if a place is not safe, the first thing they tell us is you are not allowed to walk at night. But in Dar es Salaam, I could walk at night. So that should say it's pretty safe.
I have a question. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah.
So in Nigeria, can you walk at night?
In Abuja, but in Maiduguri, no. So the safety in general in Dar es Salaam is, at the time I was there anyway, because I was there in 2018, from January 2018 to February 2019. Yeah. At the time, it was fine for safety. I could walk, I could take walks, I could run if I wanted to. All of that, there was no issue in Dar es Salaam. Outside of Dar es Salaam, Ife. In Kibondo, for instance, I wasn't allowed to walk at night. There were increasing cases of robbery, attacks. So once the sun goes down, I always had to drive.
Is there anything else you want to talk about that we haven't touched on yet?
I would say if you were to visit Tanzania, go beyond Zanzibar. There's so much more to do. That country is amazing. For people who appreciate nature, it is like you have the best pictures for the gram.
Why did you point at me when you said for the gram?
So, and like I mentioned, there are other parts of the country. I went to the south, I went to Mtwara, I went to Lindi. The thing that struck me most in these two parts is the fact that the beaches were so clean.
Wow.
Unspoiled by nature, unspoiled by tourists, compared to Zanzibar, where the beaches are littered because we're always there, and then the people doing business on the side everywhere. And I heard of so many other islands like Pemba. I just didn't get the chance to go. Beyond that, if you like hiking, if you like the mountains, go climb Kilimanjaro. Another place to see, another town which is nice. We spent 2 days there, was Arusha.
Okay.
Bagamoyo, like I said earlier, it's a historic place. It's beautiful. Like, they've left the ruins the way they were. And there's stories that are just so everyday people's stories, and there are things you want to hear about the slave trade, about the door of no return, like two lovers who got washed ashore, and they were holding each other. No. So their tomb is together. There's just so much to see in the country. So beyond Dar es Salaam, beyond Zanzibar, there are other things you should look out for.
So would you like to share with us any memory highlights? What's your highlight that you can remember about your period, your time living there?
I have to think about that one. Yeah, actually. Now in Kibondo, as much as I was living in a village, my posting to Tanzania was one I enjoyed so much because I had a full support group. I'm smiling thinking about it, and I miss these women so much. Like, we used to call ourselves the United Nations. There were 7 of us. There was Barb from Australia, Kelsey from the United States, Lena, German, Kat, Belgian, me from Nigeria, and Aniha, who was Indian. So one of the things once in a while, we would sit together, and we all lived in Kibondo, we all worked in different organizations. So one person has a bad evening, just ladies, let's come together. And then We talked from patriarchy to the frustrations of work, and there was just a no judgment zone with them. So that really made my stay amazing. There were some men who were part of the group who would invite when it was open, when we weren't having just girl conversations. One was from Korea, one was from Ethiopia, the other one was Swiss, Colombian.
Wow.
You know, it was just a really diverse group, so it was amazing.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
What is one of the things I like about living abroad or living somewhere as an expat or whatever label you want to give it, that you tend to meet people from different parts of the world, and it opens up your mind in ways that you would never have experienced, you know?
Yeah.
So if you had the opportunity to live there again, would you do it?
Not in Kibondo.
Yeah, I've never been there, but I don't think from everything you've said so far, I don't think I want to live there either. But I mean maybe Dar es Salaam, for instance.
Yeah, in a heartbeat I would go back.
With that, we've come to the end of this video. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us.
You're welcome.
You guys, if you have a question, you can go to her blog, visit her blog. I will leave it here, and you can ask her questions, or if you have any questions, you can leave it in the comment section. And guys, thank you so much for watching. If you stuck
Well, you stuck, yes.
if you stuck around till the end of this video, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Cheers.
Bye.